Oh, no, he didn't.
Girl, yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Don't talk about it. I'm glad that this is not a personal talking about, but we're going to talk about it. Welcome to another episode of Oh No Girl Yes, the podcast. Make sure you're following us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And keep in mind, you can become a Patreon subscriber, which means you would support us, but also you would get a lot more behind the scenes dish and special event access. Mm-hmm. How you doing?
I'm great. We just celebrated our 2-year anniversary.
Happy anniversary! February 14th is our anniversary. We took the power back from the day. So hopefully if you're listening to us, you had a great Valentine's Day and you know that you are loved no matter where it comes from, no matter what it looks like. Don't let nobody make you feel bad about one day. And if you ever do feel bad on Valentine's Day, then that's a good day to binge the podcast. Oh No Girl Yes.
Yes.
Get caught up. All right. So we had but did you have any special Valentine's Day plans? You had a show. You went into a show this weekend.
My girlfriend, well-known singer here in the Birmingham area, Sherry Brown. She had a show called The X Factor. 2 shows, actually. I went to the late show and it was wonderful as always.
I was telling you, next year we need to be planning to be a part of that event. So
we will.
Soon, because once we can go outside and play again, it is on.
Yes.
I did a lot of cleaning up and organizing and just trying to get centered. You know, every Monday I'm excited. Catch me on Wednesday. I'm on Wednesday. All right. So over the weekend, you got a chance to watch Malcolm and Marie. I watched it last weekend. And of course, everybody is talking about it. So we wanted to give our take on the Netflix film, Malcolm and Marie, starring John David Washington, Denzel's son, and Zendaya. Now, we have not discussed it at all.
We have not.
So if you have not watched this film, we are going to be discussing it. So pause, come back to us after you've watched it. No spoilers if you haven't seen it. So go away now. But if not, join the fun. All right. Yeah. We don't know what the other thinks about it. So I'll let you start.
Okay. And I will say there's a lot of blogs and podcasts I listen to that I purposely avoided because I wanted to form my own opinion and keep it. But I didn't hate the film. It felt like a play.
Yeah.
There were lots of long, dramatic monologues. So structure-wise, I did not hate the way it was presented.
Okay, so you keep saying you didn't hate it. Were you expecting to hate it?
Yeah. Based off the many, one-word reviews on Facebook that my friends were putting up, there was like, oh my God, I just wasted 2 hours of my life. I'll never get back. I'm so, damaged from watching the film. So I did not hate it in that way. I might not have liked everything that happened in the movie, but it was okay. So I did not hate it. It's not something that I would watch again. I felt like I'm trying to avoid the word toxic. I think toxic is overused, but in this case, I feel like it's fair to use it for this relationship. Why
don't you like to use the word toxic? You said it's overused, but if it's appropriate.
Just in general, I feel like it's overused. We call everything toxic now. This is toxic, that is toxic. I think it is appropriate in this instance. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was confused. Were they married?
No, not. Okay. Well, I didn't think they were married.
I didn't get the impression of that either. So I just was like, y'all are really just dating and this. I mean, I know you live in, but my goodness. Is this what goes on in a dating relationship?
You and I might be the wrong people because we ain't gonna be arguing with nobody for 2 hours about that. And so I already know from the rip, we probably were not best suited to even watch the film.
Yeah. Now, while it was hard to receive Malcolm a lot, especially in his long, drawn out, very abusive, verbally abusive monologues, mm-hmm. I was able to watch it and see both of their points. Mm-hmm. His delivery was way off, and hers was too at times. I thought his was worse, but I was able to see both of their points. They both were, standing in their corners and going at it. And I saw, how she could feel about certain situations, about him not thanking her publicly and all that kind of stuff, and how he feels like he shouldn't be the one to be blamed for the lack of her career progression and all that. I can see both sides of that argument. Mm-hmm. And how he felt, disrespected even when she said, this whole movie was about me. And he broke it down in the worst way ever, mm-hmm. the absolute worst way ever. But and you as a creator know this, you draw inspiration from lots of interactions. It's not just that one. So, and was he on that Book of Sugar?
Did you just think he was, or did you see somewhere you thought?
No, he just his like alcohol doesn't make you that anxious the whole night. He was like on 10.
Yeah.
The whole time. I'm like, is he sniffing something? Like,
so you said you didn't hate it. What did you like about it?
I think it portrayed real life relationship somewhere, and probably several. And I think a lot of people, not saying my Facebook friends, so don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of people watched it and maybe saw themselves in that situation at one point in time, or may see themselves in that situation now. And then, once you can see something in front of you, you're like, wait, do we like that? Like,
we've done that. We've done that before, where we've seen somebody say something that we say, and we're like, okay, I ain't gonna say that anymore.
I don't like that.
I don't like the way it sounds when they said it.
Yeah. Let me look at myself better. So I don't think it was unrealistic, and that's what I liked about it. I don't think it was that far off the mark. Now, not everybody has a relationship like that, but there are relationships out there that look just like that.
Right.
So that's what I could appreciate about it, And like I said, I was viewing it like I was looking at a play. So the monologues, even though as dramatic as they were, it worked for me. So
a scale of 1 to 10, you would give it a.
Like I said, I would probably not have to watch it again.
Right.
So maybe based off of everything, probably a 6.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you tell somebody else to watch it?
Yeah. No, probably. I probably wouldn't recommend it. Actually, I just started. I probably wouldn't recommend it, actually, no.
I would recommend it kind of like how I recommended Tiger King. It's like, I'm not telling you to watch it, but I'm saying if you watched it, we would have something to talk about.
Right. That's the only thing. That's the only reason to watch it.
I'm not telling you, you should watch this. I'm just saying, if you watched it, come back and we'll talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I felt the same way. I felt like, well, you know what? One of the main things I thought about was I would not have been in this argument for that long. We know that. I didn't even like watching the argument for that long. I thought maybe it was good that we did feel like a fly on the wall, because you feel uncomfortable hearing people talk to each other like this. I'm fortunate that I've never been in to use the term toxic relationship, not like that. I've never been in a verbally abusive relationship. And so I am assuming when I say this, that it was probably a accurate presentation of how somebody is loving you in one breath and then denigrating you and ripping your guts out the next. So I assume that's how people stay in those situations, because you feel like, but they do love me. And the fact that neither one of them ever left, I'm like, okay, I guess people do this, So you and I probably, like I said, are uniquely unqualified to sit through a movie like that, because somebody can sneeze at us the wrong way. We're like, you know what? We ain't got to do this. But see, this is what we ain't got to do. So the whole night that you're watching Malcolm and Marie and their interactions, every time you thought they were about to come to a place of, okay, we've agreed, we've calmed down, then it's, and another thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I just couldn't imagine being sitting in the house that long. I couldn't.
Yeah. It was a lot to watch. I couldn't imagine actually participating in it. Now, I felt like both of them were verbally abusive to each other.
I agree.
I think Malcolm came off rougher because he was the man, and because the things he was saying about her were, I don't want to say indisputable. The stuff she was saying about him was hurtful as a creative. It could be true, it could not be true. Right. But what he was saying about her was true. Mm-hmm. And so I think it was more hurtful, where she was saying something to hurt him. It may or may not be true. Right. Like you said, he may or may not have used a lot of her life, and he may or may not have a clue how to do X, Y, Z. He may or may not. But she was saying it to hurt him. The things he said to her were, you did this on this day. I came and picked you up from this place. And, and it's like, okay. So that obviously made him unattractive to me in the film. Right. And I think we tend to want to feel some kind of connection to people that we watch. I think that's kind of why we watch entertainment, because we're like, oh, I would be, which Sex and the City character are you? Which one are you, Yeah, you want to relate. you're like, okay, I don't think I identify with anybody, but like you said, it made me realize the little bit I can glean from it is trying to let go of an argument or letting go of something that's bothering me. I historically might not be the best at letting something go. Now I ain't gonna argue to that level, but I also ain't gonna let it go. It'll be a, you know that it'll be a little thing that that it will just kind of gnaw at me. The other part, when I was wondering, was I being entertained? I was curious if I was being entertained because, you know, I watched the first 48. Am I being entertained when I watch that? Or Dateline, all the crime and murder shows? You know, that's entertainment. So I sometimes wonder, like, what am I consuming to be entertained? So watching that, well, that's what I'm saying. I felt like my blood pressure was up. I felt tired. At some point, I paused it just to see how much longer I had to go.
Me too. I did that 3 times.
Right. It was like another 40 minutes. And I was like, okay. And then I saw a lot of people online say that they stopped after 10 minutes. Or they stopped after 15 minutes. I wanted to make it to the end. It was like a personal choice. But I didn't have to make it to the end to know that they was going to keep arguing.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, I want to see if something like, ta-da, happens at the end, and then it kind of didn't. And so it was kind of like, oh, okay, there's no resolution here. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give the film, I would give it a 6 only because 5 means I can take it or leave it. I would give it a 6 in that I think it was an accurate portrayal of what that must be like. So I think the fact that it was so hard and uncomfortable to watch and unenjoyable means they did a good job. I mean, obviously it was meant to show a horrible relationship on screen. And they did I felt like those two people, those two actors, I felt like they were in a horrible relationship. So if nothing else, they accomplished the goal. Did you feel triggered by anything specifically that anybody said? Because we have a lot of triggers.
Right, we do. But surprisingly, I did not.
Okay.
It was straight observational for me.
Okay.
Like, I never felt like I was brought into the argument like, oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, and, honestly, I did watch it with the lens of, I could never.
I would never.
I could, and I would never. This whole, oh my God, it's just the way.
It was a lot. Now, the thing that it didn't trigger me, but we talked about it on the podcast before, and I realized that most of us could be at risk of this, and that was she didn't have no business.
Oh yeah.
She got no business.
Yeah.
And therefore, his business wasn't even her business either.
Right.
So when she said, I thought we were going to do it and he off doing what he doing. Every day that he got up and shot that movie without you, you should have been getting you some business. So when you get to the premiere and you feel like this is my story and he didn't even cast me and then he didn't even thank me, I think some of that would not have been as harsh if she had some business. She had some business. And that's what stood out to me was
very true.
She ain't got no business.
She did not.
She didn't have no business. And so she, as bad as she felt, as upset as she wasn't going nowhere.
Right. Did you feel like this was an accurate portrayal, just in fictional terms, of their relationship and how they argue? Or did you think that this was a built-up thing?
I feel like it was a built-up thing because a lot of the stuff they brought up, I think they said they were together 5 years. So a lot of stuff they brought up that night was stuff that they had been feeling. I feel like in the past, it probably showed up in more of a passive-aggressive way. And this was the first time it was confrontational.
I agree.
But I
even the whole thing about, you would think, I don't know how long he was working on the film, but if she felt like she should have been a part of it, you would think that would be a conversation that they would have had before the premiere. Before
they start shooting it,
you could have put me in the film.
I auditioned twice and that, so it was like, well, why didn't why did this? And so it also shows you the importance of communication because one, you can tell a lot. I felt like they didn't like each other. That's really what I felt. Now, I felt like they might have loved each other or felt some kind of trauma bond, but they didn't like each other. Because if you like somebody, you can't talk to them like that. If you like somebody, you ain't gonna say things to try to rip their soul out of their body. Even if you have something harsh to say, you're not saying it to destroy them. And so that was my thing there's a lot of couples that are together that they do not like each other. And you don't realize you don't like each other until that hurtful moment of, how could you fix your mouth to say that? How could you even do that? Like, there's no way you can even like me. So don't say you love me. But they really do be loving you in their mind. So I felt like neither one of them had respect for the other one. I think both of them got sick at the sight of the other one.
Right. Zendaya's character showed that, I thought, pretty early on when she made that stovetop mac and cheese.
Well,
I don't like you.
I was reading online that, that might have been something from his childhood, that when he had a big day, so they didn't really give us a lot of context why that was the celebratory meal. And I think maybe if they had given us some context, people wouldn't have got stuck on, first of all, it must have been a white man that directed this, because ain't no way in the world no woman.
I didn't feel like that part, but I was like, who crazed?
But but seriously, because when I do stand-up comedy, sometimes it's stuff you just want to come home and eat. And like when you're drunk, you eat crystals. It's a lot of stuff that you eat because it's late, because you're excited, because you've been drinking. You wouldn't do it on a normal day. Oh, so man. That might have been, I felt like that might have been his little.
But she was arguing like she threw down in the kitchen. Girl, you put some.
Right. I think it was supposed to be, it was a caring moment. It was a part of the story, was this macaroni and cheese. I feel like they didn't really tell us much about it. She felt like she slaved over the stove making it for him. She couldn't believe he was eating it while they was arguing. And why was that the go-to meal at that? So I felt like they could have given us a few gleams into all those things. Right. So that way we also would have talked about it less. Because I saw a lot of people online talking about the macaroni and cheese. And I'm like, out of them 15 hours of that movie, it didn't affect me that much. It really didn't.
Well, I just thought it was trash.
But from the moment she walked in and he was all excited for his big night,
her demeanor
was over it. I'm sure she was pouting the whole night at the event. I'm sure he noticed it, but just wanted to try to celebrate, and we've all been places with somebody where you like, either I'm gonna go by myself so I can have a good time, or you be like, every time we go somewhere, it's got to be something. I dated that person. Oh, do you remember which person that was? And every time we went somewhere to have a good time, it was exactly not a good time. Every time. Now, I've had it show up here and there, but it was this one guy I dated years ago where it was just like, man, we can't never have, and I would call him arbitrarily contrary. I said, what is it about you that don't really be wrong, but you got to find something wrong and then make anything wrong for everybody? So it seems like she probably does that if she's not being the center of attention. Also, if you go back to her having an addictive past, what mental stuff she still is attached to and stuff, he feels like he saved her. He probably ain't gonna never feel like she's as grateful as he feels like she should be to him. She always feel like he think he got, because so I just feel like there's no mutual respect or admiration for either.
I think he purposely chooses women that he has to save. Obviously, he talked about the women of his past, and they all had some kind of need for a savior. And so, I mean, that in itself is not a healthy, I think, approach to relationships. Just finding somebody that you can, because you can always keep them under your wing. You know what I mean?
Right. And you form that trauma bond. You form out of some desperate situation that y'all are there together. Right. I was there. And it's like.
Right. And it's like, but then blaming her for not being able to spread her own wings when you've kind of you've emotionally abused her up until this point. I think you've created this atmosphere where her mental state is not where I can just go out and do this on my own and this and that and the other. Now she can't blame him for everything, but I think he's played a major role in her not pursuing, her dreams and her whatever she wants to do.
Right. They obviously have a codependent relationship, and he seems to have the upper hand in it. But that's what really stuck out to me was the importance of, if you're dating a guy, and let's say he's a high vibrating guy or creative especially, or whatever he's doing, you best believe it. We have a whole episode about this. Get you some business, keep you some business, stay busy, have your own projects, have your own things you're excited about. Because you can't everything I'm doing, you can't be looking for me to put you in, and everything you're doing, you can't look for me to put you in. And it's hard when you're in a relationship and you want to be an actress and your husband's a film or boyfriend's a filmmaker, that you ain't in all his movies. It's almost like, how am I out here trying to be an actress and I'm not in all your movies?
Right.
Spike Lee did it with his sister. Judd Apatow usually has his wife in his movies. But it's one of those things where if you ain't booked and busy, that's going to show up time and time again as a problema.
Yeah. I agree.
You see, I'm sitting here struggling. You see, I just need an opportunity. If you put me in your film, then I would have, a credit. If I, why you didn't introduce, when you had that meeting, why didn't you take me? And so because she wasn't blazing her own trails, and probably it started out that she wasn't healthy. It probably started out that, she was the little baby bird in the nest that stayed back. And, I have experienced times when you look up and you're like, wait, a year went by. Wait, what happened? And so it could be that by the time she got back on track for her life, she was still looking at him to help her get her life on track, when at that point it's 100% her responsibility.
It is, but I don't think he helped. I don't think he helped cultivate anything that made it any different than what she was, because I mean, just based off what he said his track record was with the women he had dealt with in the past, they all had a sense of codependency as grown women, and so I don't know. I mean, I don't fault her completely for that. I feel like both of them can take a little bit of the blame in that, her more so than him. But when you're in an abusive relationship on both sides, that does mess with your mental stability.
Right, no, 100%. That's what I'm saying. I'm not placing blame. I'm saying the responsibility of all of us when we get in relationships is to save ourselves.
Right.
And then if you ain't saving yourself, it's easy to, like I said, I've never been in that type of situation, but that's why we always level up after breakups, because at some point we've kind of lowered our volume and lowered our vibrations. You had to be in this situation with this person and try to move the way they move. And then when it didn't work out, it's like the spell is broken. You're like, oh, wait a minute, I ain't got to be doing that. Yep. And so we all get kind of that new, y'all know I do. I get a new sense of excitement after the breakup. But a lot of times that's when people are like, I'm gonna start my business. I'm gonna go back to school. I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna get my real estate license. I'm gonna go on and, climb that mountain, because you get back to yourself. You become back self-centered. And I think men historically tend to maintain their self-centeredness in relationships more so than women. Women tend to start thinking about the group and the future of the group, and men still be on their track when they think about what they doing. Yeah. So if you become so group centered and he think about what he doing, all y'all think about what he doing, and then you sitting at the movie premiere that you ain't in, that he didn't even thank you for feeling like doo-doo. So I can't make it to your movie premiere, honey. My movie premiere is on the same night, but we'll meet up later for mac and cheese and talk about our nights. That's how that's gonna go. So that was the main theme that I felt like that if I was gonna take anything from the abuse I had to suffer by watching it, was have your own stuff, have your own excitement. Don't look for nobody to put you on just because they your man. It's a lot of things where they weren't actually partners. They were just codependent trauma bond survivors, and they did not like each other. And do you think at the end when she has this realization, I don't know, I don't want to call it a realization, when she has this epiphany of she agrees with the critic. And she says, you know what? I agree with her. You are this, and this. And I don't even know why. And how could I even date you? Because you are like XYZ. And then they kind of did the whole toss and turn scene. And then she was outside, and then he looked for her, which that was maybe the second or third time he had looked for her. She ain't going nowhere. And then he went outside and they were just standing there. Do you think they break up finally? They stay together. No. I felt like she was gonna break up with him. I felt like, we said, I think there had been microaggressions and passive aggressiveness and little digs here and there to try to keep the other person down a notch. I think that night she saw some things and felt some things, probably by herself as well, and I felt like she was standing out there, and it's not like he went out there and held a hand or hugged her. They were still separated, standing there. Right. And I feel like, once a woman had made up her mind, so I felt like that was the night.
If they were gonna break up, she'd be gone.
I don't think she got no ride. That's what I'm saying. I don't think she got no way.
She get a ride.
He said the studio rented to that house.
They did.
And she seems like she was stuck there for that moment. But I'm saying it's a lot of women, when they have that moment, they might not leave for another month, 2 months, 3 months. You know what I'm saying? I feel like she had her moment. That don't mean she, it's a lot of people right now listening to this podcast have already decided to break up 4 months ago.
Still there, but they gonna go.
Still there, but I know what I'm not gonna do. And the guy don't. And so that's the thing that, people say when a woman breaks up with a man, she been done. Like you talking about all of a sudden, boy, I decided this a while ago. I think of my most recent breakup. You know, we broke up when I told you we broke up about a month before we broke up.
Yeah, I think, I mean, and I'm probably just speaking from personal, just how I would handle it. I don't argue with people I'm gonna break up with. You can talk to me, you can talk down to me, you can do whatever, you know. So I feel like the fact that she was still trying to make points throughout the night, maybe that was her swan song. Like, you know,
I felt like she had never said that stuff, and it was finally her moment.
Maybe so, but I'm like, you know, I don't waste energy. We're done.
But then let's talk about that. Can an argument is there a difference to you between an argument and a disagreement?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So you can disagree with somebody and have a conversation about the disagreement. You're not going to argue with somebody.
Right.
Okay.
If my emotions get too involved, then I'm just like, okay, let me just chill out, because I'm just
y'all. She's not lying to y'all. So I don't argue. I do disagree, but I don't like the way it feels when I do disagree or argue with somebody. So I can still be 100% feeling like I'm right. Mm-hmm. At the point that it just starts feeling icky with this person that I'm having a conversation with, I don't even want to do it no more, you know? So sometimes it's like, I know I'm right, but you know, and I'll do that point to have this disagreement. At some point, I don't care enough to stay here. As far as an actual argument, I can't think of anybody that I've had an argument with that I talked to them again after that day.
Right, exactly.
So if I did have an argument, it was like, okay, I'm not.
Never do that again.
There's no reason for us to talk again.
That's why I kind of wanted them to be married, because
that's always good. Yeah, because you got to be able to.
I kind of wanted them to be married, because I'm like, I mean, I guess, you know, a 5-year relationship is still a long time, and you don't have to be married to be in a committed relationship. Obviously, I know this, but it just felt like they were throwing a lot of hard-hitting punches for some people who could easily walk away.
But that's the thing, Robin. I think we always feel like we can easily walk away. Everybody don't feel that when they got time.
I understand that.
Everybody don't feel that based on what they think they can do without that person. Everybody don't feel that based on what that person already did for them. You know, so it's a lot of reasons why we have a unique talent and ability of, we ain't got to do this. And so that's the only reason people are abused. That's the only reason people are, because they can't. And
that's what I appreciated most about this film, is because I felt like it was a reflection of a lot of people,
right,
in a lot of relationships. So if nothing else, it has sparked a conversation for some people who viewed it and maybe saw themselves in it, or maybe see a friend in that same situation. So that's why I can appreciate it, and that's why I can give it a 6.5. I don't think I have to see it again to, you know.
No, I wouldn't see it again. It was just too aggravating to me. Like,
right. But that's what I appreciate about the film. I feel like, you know, you can get mad at it all you want, but there are people who are living this life right now.
It was accurate as far as what I would believe that would look like. It looked like that. At no point was I like, they wouldn't say this, they wouldn't do this. I was like, ain't no way in the world I would be doing that. Yeah. But I didn't find it unbelievable that was their relationship. And, you know, and I think in real world, more people are just going ahead and having sex and going on with it. They never got to the point of sex where it came up a few times. Yeah. Almost like, okay, this will make all of that ugly go away if we have this bond. And it's like, they never got there. And I thought that made sense too, that what if you never get there? Because a lot of people are just stuck in the hell of a relationship. And then they have this passionate, intimate moment. And some people fight to have that moment. You know, it's like a lot of different things at play. So, what did y'all think about Malcom and Marie? What did you think about, Robin, what did you think about the casting? Like, did you feel both of them was suited to play the roles they played, or did you?
Yeah, I didn't feel a certain kind of way about it. It's just,
I felt like Zendaya, either something was off on the ages for me for Zendaya, because she was supposed to be 25 and they had been together for 5 years. Just something off age-wise was kind of throwing me off on like, now how, so she's supposed to be 25 and I don't even know how old she is in real life, but she
did she come off older?
she came off more mature mentally, and so that threw me off.
She did come out. I felt like he presented himself as an immature person, but I thought that was the way the film wanted to portray them.
Right, so but I'm saying because she was so well thought out, and she, even though she was saying, toxic, horrible stuff to him, it was well thought out, and she stood her ground. I felt like, okay, if this girl is a recovering addict, she's been with him 5 years, and she's only 25. She seems to have a lot of maturity and gravitas that I would think, where did she get all that from?
Well, I saw her as someone who has already lived a long life. When you go through things, it kind of feeds into maturity, a mature level. And I'm sure she's been to rehab. I'm sure she's learned how to.
It can go one of two ways. It can add to your maturity, or it can stunt your growth.
Right.
So that's why I was a little thrown off on, okay, I guess she was a teenage drug addict, and now she's been with him for so long, and she's been clean since she's been with him. I felt like she was very evolved as a woman. And so
rehab can do that. I mean, like you said, it can do one or the other. So maybe her rehab was one of those things where it was like, you know what?
Well, it ain't do enough to show her she ain't need to be with that one.
Well, no, I mean, it's not.
That's what I'm saying. So it's something that she would be with somebody that's treating her like this. There's something. That's what I'm saying. I felt like I was kind of all over the place of, okay, she got sense enough to say that, or she's experienced this, or she feels this, but she's here with him doing this. This ain't the first time he's ignored her. This isn't the first time he's diminished her. This ain't the first time, So some of the personality traits were kind of all over the place. And then when I added in her age, I was just kind of like, okay, well, this is a lot. And where did she get this from? And then, it just, so that kind of was throwing me off as far as the character and just the timeline of how they presented the character. I have never seen Zendaya in anything ever before in life.
Right.
That's my first time seeing her in anything. Obviously, she's a very popular actress and does a lot of big projects. I've never seen anything. So she was a fresh face to me. And I actually have never seen anything with John David in it.
I was about to say, he's pretty fresh faced too. I mean, I know he's not. I
haven't watched anything of his stuff.
But he is, yeah.
So I was okay with the casting. I saw some pushback about it being a white writer and director and some of the language and, again,
none of that bothered me.
Yeah, it's creative choices. When people start doing that kind of stuff, it's like, well, make a movie the way you want it,
Right.
For what he made and for what it was. I like seeing Black people. I like the way it was shot. I like the vibe of it. I like the energy. I like the music. Right. So I like the way the film was made.
And John David Washington, I mean, regardless of who was the writer or creator or whatever, I felt like he took ownership of his role. I felt like he felt very comfortable in that role throughout the movie. So, I don't know how much input he had into who his character was and how he would be portrayed, but I felt like he looked comfortable in it, more comfortable than Zendaya to me.
Yeah. It's just always hard when you have a white person writing a movie and directing a movie and the N-word is thrown out or race is the theme, because then people start going from beyond the actual film to, right. subtext of stuff that's off the screen. And so without getting into all of that, I felt like it was a film that I enjoyed looking at.
Yeah.
I enjoyed looking at those kind of people. I enjoy stories about relationships and making it and not making it, obviously. Thank you for listening. We enjoy these conversations. So outside of just feeling uncomfortable, feeling like I was watching my friend argue with her boyfriend again, and I wasn't interested. I was like, oh my God, girl, when is we gonna break up? I'm gonna go ahead and go, y'all go on, y'all have messed up the movie for me. I would not have seen none of that.
Right.
I would have broken up with my friends. You remember, I had two friends that were friends individually of mine. I introduced them to each other, and I had stopped talking to both of them because they became so toxic together. I didn't like neither one of them no more. I got them back when they broke up, but so I really don't like for people to look. And when I set those friends up, when one would say this, I was like, well, look, it might not be a match. I'm like, I'm not looking for y'all to stay together just because I introduced y'all. Hey, y'all might need to break up. Hey, okay, stop it. And it kept going, and they kept coming to me as the hub. That's what I felt like watching that movie. I don't want to be here for this. Y'all don't see y'all got company. Y'all got to do this right now. It's like, can y'all wait till we leave to have this conversation? So I was ready to go for sure. Also, I didn't understand. It was something like, Okay, so if we talk about the macaroni and cheese, there are other little things like the smoking was kind of so random. And then when
the smoking felt very outdated to me. I guess people still smoke, but it just felt very,
it felt weird. And then when he asked for one, it was like, oh, you're smoking, and then she would go. So the smoking kind of seemed like, I don't know, am I supposed to be taking something from this?
What did you think about the music?
I love the music.
Okay.
I didn't like that they cut off Liberation at the end. There's a fine line between love and hate. Just see, it can't wait too late. Baby, I'm on it. That's one of my favorite Outcast songs in the world. Yeah. Give and take. I done took so much and I gave it my glory.
Please don't be around her when any Andre 3000 song hits or verse.
You know, as soon as we finish recording.
And then she has a mixed. Don't you have a playlist? Uh-huh. But she only listens to his verse, and then she goes to the next song, or she might repeat the verse.
Okay, are you saying it's like this is a problem, or what are you saying?
You're my brother.
You're excited. Okay,
so my brother. I think my brother has a man crush on Andre 3000.
I love Outkast. So Liberation is Outkast, and then Erykah Badu is also in that song, and there's also a verse by I don't know the guy's name, but at the begining on the actual CD.
You love Andre. I don't think you like.
I do love Andre. I tolerate Big Boy when he's with Andre, but I do have a playlist of all Andre 3000 guest appearances. That's what she's referring to. And I caution any artist, congratulations, you got Andre on your track. Do not put him first. I will never hear your verse. Let Andre go last. I will never hear your verse if he go first. I'll hear your verse once, and then when I realize he don't come back up, I will never hear you twice.
Riding in the car is Andre verse
done. Let's go to the next one.
She won't let you. You like the song, it doesn't matter. She ain't gonna let you listen to the rest of it.
I've never talked about this. Next time you should drive. All right, y'all. Please let us know your thoughts for Malcom and Marie. Thank you so much for celebrating our 2nd anniversary. We are listened to in over 45 countries. We have about 30,000 streams in the 2 years. We have taken so many breaks and detours and hiatuses just because of life and stuff. So we really appreciate y'all hanging with us. And we like it when y'all miss us, but we're going to try to make sure you don't miss us too much more in the future. We're going to always take our little break, but we always working on content too, child.
Trying.
When we say content, that means we out here trying to live our lives. When we say well, that's how we talk to each other about dating or interacting or engaging. We're like, girl, get some content. You might not like them, but we need some content. So we working for y'all. So make sure you leave us a note. Tell us what you thought about Malcom and Marie. Did it remind you of you? Did it remind you of something you know? Did you think about something differently about how you show up in relationships? We're curious. Let's talk about it.
Or did you just hate it?
Or did you hate it?
Because some people just hate it.
That's another option. I definitely didn't hate it, but that's another option. So let us know what you think. We will be back next week for another episode of Oh, no, he didn't.
Girl, yes, he did.